Hi, I'm Ashish and I head product here at HyperTrack, and I'm excited to share a demo of the Closeout Agent and HyperTrack's location intelligence capabilities with you today. The Closeout Agent is our AI-powered reconciliation product. Its goal is to provide you with a single reliable timesheet at the end of each and every shift to ensure that you can pay out your workers faster and bill your customers accurately. Now, we all know that there is no single timesheet. Your system might hold one kind of timesheet. Your worker might provide timesheet information through an app that can be geo-powered, and your customers could be using systems and different fragmented systems in order to provide you with time and attendance information. Now, all these different timesheets most likely don't have the same information, and then your teams are left scrambling to figure out what the truth is for each and every shift. That's where the Closeout Agent comes in. Now, the Closeout Agent is able to collect and absorb information from different systems. It takes all the timesheets, figures out discrepancies, and is able to actually act on these discrepancies by communicating with the worker, the facility, the operation teams, all through mediums of your choice, and is able to get you that final reconciled timesheet that you can then use for payouts. The way this works is that we first capture all the shifts that exist in your existing scheduling system. This could be Bullhorn, this could be Aviante, or it could be a custom system that you use today. Once we get these shifts on the day off, the Closeout Agent will work on each and every shift. That means you have an agent on each shift with the context of that shift, applying rules that you've defined for that shift. Now, these rules can be defined at a shift level. It could be defined at a facility level, at a region level, or at a customer level. And finally, as more shifts happen, the agent is also able to recommend and improve these rules over time, and then evals can be used to make sure that the agent is behaving as expected as you keep improving these rules. Let's go ahead and take a look at a single shift. Here we see Maria Reyes worked at the Eastgate Distribution Center on June 18th for an 8-hour shift. Now, we got the schedule from Bullhorn, so you see that the Bullhorn placement button is available here for you to jump directly into your Bullhorn portal from the HyperTrack page. On top, we see 3 different timesheets. The first timesheet is a worker timesheet obtained through the Staffy app. This can be any app that you use out there to manage your staffing workforce and can be powered by HyperTrack in order to provide that reliable location-powered timesheet for your company. Now, here we see the clock-in took place at 8:57 a.m. with a 30-minute break and a clock out at 5:25 p.m. The facility timesheet comes from the UKG system that they use, and that tells a slightly different story. The clock-in took place at 9 a.m. and a clock out at 5 p.m. with that 30-minute break. It looked like the agent was able to reconcile and provide Maria with payment for 8 hours and 25 minutes with a clock-in that took place at 9 a.m. and a clock out at 5:25 p.m. with that 30-minute break. Let's see how this shift played out. Here, you see all the messages and communication that's taking place between the agent, Maria, and the representative at the Eastgate Distribution Center. So we see that a clock-in took place at 8:57 a.m. EDT, followed by a clock-in at the facility system at 9 a.m. EDT. Now, the agent proactively reaches out to Maria at around 12:04, asking her to record her meal break so that the shift is compliant. Maria responds with her meal break from 12:30 to 1, and we see that the meal break is captured. Now, as the agent works through, it's also sharing its thought process and the action it's taking based on the rules that we have set. So now we see at 5 p.m. there is a clock out in the UKG system, but there is a clock out at 5:25 by Maria through the Staffy app. The agent proactively reaches out now to Maria at around 5:40, explaining that discrepancy and asking her to confirm what the actual start and end times were. Maria then responds through simple plain language through an SMS channel here, where she says that she's okay with the start at 9 in the morning, but then she definitely left at 5:25 because Sam asked her to stay and finish staging a trailer at the dock. Now, the agent reaches out to Sam, who's a representative at Eastgate Distribution, sharing what Maria has provided. And additionally, it's also looking at the location information because Staffy is powered by the HyperTrack SDK to provide that additional confirmation that there was overtime in this case. Let's actually quickly jump and take a look at that timeline. Here, we see the HyperTrack timeline. This is granular information of all the activities Maria performed before the shift and during the shift. So we clearly see that Maria drove to the shift and got there at 8:57, where there's a clock in. and stayed there for 8 hours and 27 minutes and finally clocked out at 5:25 p.m. Now, with this information, the agent is able to provide more proof and evidence to the facility to make sure that they have all the information to make the right decision. And here we see that Sam actually confirms this and says, yes, the dock was backed up and he had asked Maria to stay. So the 5:25 is approved. And Eureka, we just have a reconciled timesheet with no human in the loop and the closeout agent proactively reaching out both to Maria and the Eastgate Distribution Center to resolve the discrepancy without anyone lifting a single finger. Before we zoom out from our single shift, I want to talk about rules. Rules, or the rule book, is what your agent uses at a shift level to make sure that it's able to reconcile that shift as per the need of that particular shift. Now here you see a rule book for Amazon that provides the agent with a primary goal, what success looks like, what failure looks like, what different data sources it needs to process in order to make sure it's able to get to that final timesheet, communication information on how to communicate with the worker, how to communicate with the facility, what the cadence of that is going to look like, and much, much more. All this can be defined in easy, simple English language. And as time goes on and more shifts happen, the agent is able to recommend improvements to this rulebook and give you an updated version as time goes on. Now, rulebooks can be at different levels. You can set that at the facility level. It can be for a company, it can be at a state level, and so on. So you have power over the granularity of that. Next, when we make changes to rules, agents are sensitive and that can impact their behavior over all your shifts. So you want to make sure that the changes you make do not break your system. And so we built evals. Evals are automatically generated by the closeout agent for the specific rulebook changes that you make. Now you can always go ahead and add new evals that you'd like to test out. But then it runs those scenarios, and for the fail cases, it gives you recommendations on how the rulebook needs to change for you to get the desired outcome that you want. Next, let's look at connectors. Now in our demo, we saw different sources, right? So we saw HyperTrack as one of the sources for the location data. We saw the UKG Chrono system that the facility uses, and then we saw the Bullhorn system, which is the scheduling system for the staffing company. You can connect all these through the HyperTrack portal. You can also connect your different communication channels. We saw SMS and email, so we do support Twilio and SendGrid right now, and can support any other product out there that you use. And finally, when you're confident enough that you don't want to just take the timesheet into your system and are open to writing that to your payroll system, HyperTrack provides that integration so that we can directly write that reconciled timesheet to your payroll system and get your workers paid out as quickly as possible and get your customers billed as accurately as possible. Now let's look at a zoomed out view. You have thousands of shifts happening every day across the country and potentially across the globe. And instead of diving into each individual shift, you need metrics to be able to measure how efficiently the agent is working across your shifts. We provide that through the home view. You're able to see all the shifts in which the agent is engaged. You're able to see where engagement happened between the worker, the facility, and the agent, where time was able to be captured, as well as how many reconciled timesheets the agent was actually able to get to. Now, over time, like I said, more and more real-world shifts take place. Your rules improve, the agent behavior improves, and you're able to get better and better results. Next, let's look at insights. Now, we're able to run the agent after each and every shift and across different shifts to understand what's going on. So here you see cases where when there was a need review, you understand why the review was required in the first place. This gives you feedback so that you can actually update your rulebook to ensure that these scenarios are handled better. The other important metric is the worker sentiment. The agent really needs to behave as a companion to the worker. It needs to make sure that the worker feels that at the end of the shift, the agent has their back. So understanding the sentiment when the worker engages with the agent is critical in the deployment process. Here, we're able to process each and every shift and tell you whether there was neutral, positive, mixed, or negative engagement so that you can then improve the agent's communication to make sure that workers are happy at the end of the day. And finally, we have the shift view. This shows a list of all your shifts. You're able to export this information to process it through your own systems, but in a simple nutshell, it provides you information about what different timesheets were captured, who are the different parties who engaged in a particular shift, who worked on the shift, where it happened, and in case there's a review needed, it tells you exactly why a review is needed. And that's all I have for the demo. Thank you so much. I hope you try out the Closeout Agent today on hypertrack.com. Please reach out to us on help@hypertrack.com, and we're happy to connect and help you out. Thank you.